Hello and welcome to another Pauper video. I'm Kalikaiz. Today I'm taking a look at the Magic Online decks of the week. So this is from June 10th to June 16th, just the very beginning of the Final Fantasy season. What happened in the trophies? What does the metagame look like? All that good stuff. Before we get into it, remember there is a sideboard guide section on patreon.com/Kalikaiz, and you can get early access to videos on the YouTube membership section. Also, want to shout out the Upstate New York Pauper Open, which is happening on August 9th in Rochester, New York. So make sure to join that. The link is in the description below. On this Saturday, tomorrow, as of this posting, there's also going to be a tournament, a Pauper tournament in Rochester to support the Trans Lifeline and the Trevor Project. So if you want to get involved with that, check out the link in the description as well. So what happened on this last week? Well, it looks like the metagame is shifting a little bit. Mono red still top, mono blue Fae just rising a ton, and then Madness Burn below that, with Jund Wildfire, mono blue Terror, and then High Tide. So why do I think mono blue Fae is rising? It's possible that it's good versus mono red. It tends to be maybe kind of even in my experience, but I think mono blue fairies is also extremely favored into High Tide, and High Tide's meta share has been rising. So mono blue Fae meta share has been rising, probably in response. We also have a bunch of one-offs and a couple of decks trying out new things. So let's go ahead and check out the cards that are new and some of the spice of the week. So Kalikaiz is my first, well, not Kalikaiz. The first deck that I'm looking at is a Boros Bully. This is not a new or out of nowhere deck, but it's cool to see this person able to 5-0 with Boros Bully. This is like just putting creatures on the table and then blasting them with Rally the Peasants. You have Faithless Looting and Lightning Bolt and Thraben Charm. Good against the burn metagame. We have an updated Poison Storm from Nuclear Atom. This is basically the list that I would play right now. You're maybe wouldn't play the 2 Prologue Defiresis, but no, we don't really have a reason to play Breath Weapon in the main deck anymore because we don't have Cold Oath of Rebirth in the format. So this uses Lotus Petal as like a Storm enabler and Color enabler, and then Snap to get a little bit more Storm and just kind of do the thing. Very, very good into like Gardens style decks, also potentially into burn decks. And the sideboard with 4 Dispel and 4 Bring the Ending is a statement trying to counter spell the High Tide deck. One spicy thing that happened here was a Ruby Storm from Cosmic Charles. They're trying out a new card, Laughing Mad, which I had on my channel a day or two ago, and this is a functional reprint of Electric Revelation. So 3 mana to draw 2 cards, you have to discard a card, and then you can flash it back. So with 2 Anarchomancer in play, it costs 1, just red to cast, and with 3, it costs red to flash back. So it makes this deck very consistent with a lot of card draw. It's really cool to see them continuing to perform. Their list plays a Stream of Thought mill win condition with the side win condition of Seize the Storm plus Bitter Reunion. They have a lot of flashback spells, so they can make a really big Seize the Storm token. Here we have a couple of iterations of Altterron or Eggstron. So the first one from ABSD is an Altterron list. They have 4 Retriever and 2 Kinsmith. Kinsmith is cool because you can play it and then sacrifice it to the Ashnod's Altar to cast your next Mirror Retriever, play the Mirror Retriever, sacrifice that, get back the Kinsmith, get back the second, get your other Mirror Retriever and start your loop going. And they're playing 4 Eviscerator's Insight and 2 Malevolent Rumble. 4 Malevolent Rumble. So Malevolent Rumble can pitch the Insight to the graveyard or put it in the graveyard, and they're not playing any number of crop rotation. They have 4 Star, 4 Prism as their colored sources. It's like kind of turboing out the Ashnod's Altar plan. And then they have 3 Altar with just 2 Golem Foundries because their main plan win is just looping Pact Altars. In the sideboard, you've got Parkland Shaman, Red Blast. Okay, this player went really high on trying to be tied with 4 Red Blast and 2 Last Rites. And then they're playing a newer card, Heritage Reclamation, instead of something like Ancient Grudge, because this can snipe a graveyard card, which is kind of cool. Another deck that ABSD managed to 5-0 with, which is awesome to see, is a regular Eggs list, but this list is playing 4 Pact Altar and 4 Black Mage's Rod. So they have a ton of ping potential as they move through the deck. Not very much in the way of card draw since they just have 4 Eviscerator's Insight, But there's a lot of cantrips, of course, as it is an egg deck playing Prism, Wellspring, Bauble, Star, and Candy Trail. So that's another interesting way to play eggs. We have another eggs list by Evil Drake. I think this was the first person to 5-0 with eggs post Final Fantasy. And they're playing 3 Rook Turret, which I showed in a couple of eggs and Tron variants. This card is really sick and can really make you pop off very quickly. I like that a lot. I also have Builder's Bane, which is interesting. Destroy X target artifacts, maybe for multiple spell bombs on the table. I haven't seen that around. And they're also choosing to play 4 Pyro, 2 Last Rites as answers to the High Tide deck, with no crop rotation in this list either. Some of the spicier is Lorien revealed as a 2-of with 2 islands. I have not seen that previously, but maybe they were trying to get blue to cast the Rook Turret, so I could understand that, I guess. Now we're moving on to White Weenie. Michael Armando here with White Weenie playing 4 Chocomog. So this summon is pretty cool. They have chosen to play no Guardian's Pledge, but they are playing 3 Remosian Rally. So you could play the Chocomog, give everything +1/+0, and then tap it to the Remosian Rally to give it another +1/+1. They also have Steadfast Unicorn as a creature that is an additional pump spell. And then giving your creatures Vigilance with the Unicorn, that synergizes with the Remosian Rally, which is very neat. We have another White Weenie. So this one was by MD91. It says Boros, but this player is playing Boros with Mardu Devotee, 3 Eagles, and 1 Alpine Meadow in order to play 3 Pyroblast in the sideboard, as well as Flaring Pain. So that's their choice of how to beat High Tide. I think, I don't know if they met them, but I had previously shown another list playing Mana Tithe, and obviously Pyroblast is going to be a little bit more effective. But maybe the High Tide player could play around that if they wanted to. Although the Mardu Devotee allows you to filter, so they'd have to tap all of your mana. And just pinching High Tide on a little bit of mana really can stop them. Okay, another new Final Fantasy list. This is Marty Syninth by Lost on Kato. They found a way to fit 4 Black Mage's Rod in their deck. And obviously, Boros Synth plays a lot of spells with 4 Blast, 4 Bolt, 4 Wildfire. They've got 4 Fanatical Offering, 4 Synthesizer. So there's going to be doing a lot of actions and pinging your opponent quite a bit. I know they've gotten a few 5-0s. So they had this 5-0 and then another one later, as well as another player 5-0ing with the original list. Whereas Lost on Kato apparently has updated their list. Moving on. The next deck I wanted to show was a newer take on Black-Green Gardens. So we'd seen Pact Altair Gardens pre-Glee ban, but then after Glee was banned, Pact Alt Gardens just kind of disappeared. Now it's back. We have the Pact Altair to ping. We also have the Black Mage's Rod here as a 4-of, and 3 Cornered by Black Mages, which is an Edict that comes with the 0/1 Wizard Creature token with the same ping effect. So they're just playing a removal game and drawing cards and hoping to eventually kill your opponent with these. It's nice to have some win conditions that are like not super convoluted, and then they don't have to play something like the Initiative or a Monarch. The sideboard here, we can see 4 Duress and 2 Last Rites, plus an Okiba Gang. So once again, hard targeting High Tide. And speak of High Tide, Ito01 managed to trophy with a list playing 3 Reach Through Mist and 2 Hidden Strings as their like cheap untappers. But the thing that stands out to me here is 3 Disrupt. Counter target instant or sorcery unless the caster plays an additional 1 and you draw a card. This allows you to potentially play into a single held up counterspell or a single held up dispel. Or when you're comboing off, you can counter your own spell, pay an additional 1. So it basically adds the tax of UU to your spell, but you get to draw an additional card, which they seem to be impressed by. I talked to them in the Familiars Discord about it. It's just not something that I'm specifically interested in. Okay, so we have a Dredge by Ragnarok 1997. This is playing the new Town Greeter card, which allows them to have way more 2-mana mill 4s. So you have Satyr Wayfinder, which mills 4, Town Greeter, which mills 4. They're not playing the other creature that mills 4. Instead of they're playing Blanchwood Prowler as a 3-of. So I think this was one of the first ones to be playing this. Also, this deck is kind of spicy because they have Momentary Blink. So you only really need, if your opponent's at 20, to have 10 creatures in the graveyard, and then you blink your Lotleth Giant to try to dome them a little bit earlier and speed up the deck. You can tell they're trying to go faster because they have cut some Nod to the Bones from the main deck. In the sideboard, they're playing 2 Duress and 4 Mesmeric Fiend. Another statement for sure against the High Tide deck. That's sort of been on my mind lately. So here's a Jeskai Ephemerate playing another new card, which I think is pretty cool. Suplex. Deals 3 damage to target creature, and if that creature would die this turn, exile instead, or exile target artifact. So of course this takes care of Sneaky Snacker forever, which is pretty sweet. Or you can main deck exile an artifact. I think it's a flexible option to be playing here. And I'm just wondering whether or not that was something that they were happy to have. But then I looked and I saw that this person trophied again later on playing the same list with Suplex in the main deck. So they seem to be all about it. Getting a little bit spicier, but not super big. This is the Madness Mono Red Burn by Flormente. So they've cut Voldaren Epicure here, playing 4 Looting, 4 Grab the Prize, and 3 each of Demand Answers and Highway Robbery. And then it's just 4 Dart, 4 Bolt, 4 Fire Blast, 4 Temper. The idea of this specific list is to just draw cards until you can land a Gutter Snipe or Flame Breather and then combo kill your opponent with Fire Blast and Lava Dart. It is absolutely insane to play this deck. I played, took it to the local, I 20'd somebody out of nowhere, which was just amazing. It's probably my favorite way to play Burn. It feels more like a combo deck, so if you're interested in playing it, I would try out something like this. I wasn't fully on board with cutting Epicure, but this gives you way more flexibility, which is kind of neat. In the sideboard here, they're specifically playing 4 Pyroblast, 4 Relic, and then they have 3 Sweepers with Electrickery and End the Festivities. I've found that the Electrickery and End the Festivities don't really matter that much because your Lava Darts are taking care of things like Elves already. I'm playing the card that's red, and it deals 3 damage to a creature and a player if you had a land enter this turn, Searing Blaze. They are not playing that, so it sort of makes sense to play Electrickery here. But Searing Blaze does a great job against stuff like Elves and Walls. In the next list, we have Black-Green by Mvani. So this was one of their first tests after Black Mage's Rod came out, and they called this like Knights Tribal. So they've got Mass Vandal, which is a Changeling. Fell Horseman, a zombie knight for 4 that has an adventure of return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And Smitten Swordmaster, which is a 2-mana knight with lifelink. And they have a sorcery for black. You gain X life and each opponent loses X life where it's equal to the number of knights you control. So they're just like playing sort of a Gardens-esque deck with a decent amount of life gain in the main deck. And maybe that works pretty well against the mono red or the other types of burn decks. And then in the sideboard, quad Raven's Crime is interesting. And then 1 Okiba Gang with 4 Weatherstorms still. And then Ashes to Ashes, a card that is not seen too much. It deals 5 damage to you, but you get to exile 2 non-artifact creatures. Maybe this is specifically versus Terror to get rid of them. I'm not sure. Okay, we're actually approaching spiciness level. We have Blue-Green Infect. So I saw this before. This person's playing 15 lands, Lakeside Shack. Enters tapped unless the player has 13 or less life. I don't really understand that very much. Or Escape Tunnel. At what point are you expecting this to come in? Maybe they're just using the mutagenic growths and then that's causing them to lose so much life that Lakeside Shack comes in untapped. I feel like maybe this was a mistake to be playing there. But they have 4 Lotus Petals, 15 lands, 4 Lotus Petals. And they have Go Forth as a 4 of. That makes sense because they're on such a low land count. I was considering maybe they should be playing Thirsting Roots in that spot. And they have protection spells of just 4 mutagenic growth. And they are playing Relic's Roar, Snakeskin Veil, and Vines of Astwood. So very large amount of protection actually. Vines doing double duty as a pump spell and and protection, but Blighted Agent is the real reason to be playing blue because it is unblockable. So they have just the best creatures that have Infect: Glistener Elf, Blighted Agent, and Ichor Claw Mirror. Probably the spiciest deck of the week was Demir, called Demir Affinity from Hype, but they just slotted in the Pinger combo of Black Mage's Rod and Tandem Lookout. So Tandem Lookout, whenever the paired creature deals damage to a player, to an opponent, you draw a card. So you're going to be drawing cards as you go through your deck, which is pretty sweet, just pinging the crud out of your opponent. Previously, they played a card called Raven's Crime, allowing them to pitch lands and then continue drawing cards with a Tandem Lookout. In this list, they were playing Dark Ritual, trying to get things going quicker. A couple of Metallic Rebukes. So it's basically just like a blue-black affinity that has a combo kill, which is neat because you can get it back with the Blood Fountain. You can get back the Tandem anyway. And then at the same time, this is like just value creature that can combo off and kill your opponent. So that's my first look into the Final Fantasy metagame and some of the spicier choices that people are doing. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.